Welcome to Tig's Bits. This week, the handler and I are going to talk a little bit about UFOs, controversial country songs, and some other things. But before we get into it, we want to thank Boil Boss and Bayou47.com for supporting our show. And thank you for tuning in on YouTube, or if you're listening, on a podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. If you haven't hit that subscribe or the follow button, do that. Give this show a like. Share it. I mean, that's really what I've had friends that came up to me, and I know that you have too, JR. How can people help us to promote the show? Get the word out. Share it. Share it on your social media pages. That helps us even more than you can ever freaking imagine. So with all of that out of the way, let's just get into it. Oh, I can see it. I couldn't see that the whole time I had you covered up.
I figure we're talking about all kinds of cool, crazy stuff. I had to wear my Lucha Libre mask, my Rey Mysterio.
I love it, man.
Coming off the top.
Oh, yes.
Because we're coming off the top rope with this podcast for you this week, y'all.
That's right.
And yeah, Tiggs was right for sure. Share this. If it's something interesting, we're talking about something, or have a guest on, something's funny or cool or whatever, share it to somebody you think would like it. Tell them to spread it around. And we're going to be more of it coming up. We're going to talk about that today. We've got guests lined up for the next few weeks. Blasey's on a trip this week, so he's out of commission, but he'll be back next week, and got all kinds of fun stuff. So you want to be here each and every week at Tiggs Bits Podcast. So make sure to like, rate, subscribe anywhere you can. But yeah, it's going to be a fun show. You got some cool stuff to talk about, Tiggs. I'm down. I'm going to take this off and put my normal garb on.
We do, man. We do. I mean,
I love this
look.
mask.
I love the mask too.
Oh, it's really JR. Oh, who knew? The masked superstar is actually JR.
I can't believe this.
What was the remember one time Dusty Rhodes was oh gosh, what was it? He went as something. But Dusty has obviously the look. There's nobody in the world that didn't know it was Dusty Rhodes. And Junkyard Junkyard Dog did it one time too. They called him something Super Thumper or something. And it was just Junkyard Dog with a mask on.
They were, it was like, you know the body type. It's hard to not know who that is.
Yeah, Hogan one time was man. Like Mr. USA or I hate I'm butchering these names. Our wrestling fans are gonna hate me for it.
I know, I know, but I know where you're going with it. We're killing the wrestling facts, but these are all things that we're going to talk more about. Not today, but in the future. But absolutely, dude, nothing better than JR the handler coming in wearing a mask off the top rope. I could not see him, folks. I'm not going to lie. I'm reading the intro. It's kind of part of the deal, I mean, it's about the only thing that we're prepped for on this show
around here.
And I butchered it for the record, but it's fine. Who cares? We're moving forward with it because I come back to JR the handler in a mask and I couldn't see you. I had you covered up. So that was as big of a surprise as it will be for the viewers.
That's the only thing I bought when I went to Mexico last year was that mask. And I bought like 5 of them and gave them out to friends and family. Everybody's kid got a mask when I got back. I love them. I love wrestling. Y'all know that.
I love it. Well, it's been prominent in the shot this whole time we've been doing the show, so I'm glad that it finally made it. When I was there a couple weeks ago, I was I thought about it.
My only regret on my Mexico trip was I should have bought 20 of them. I wish I would have. I kicked myself in the butt. I just couldn't justify the money at the time, but now looking back, I'm thinking that was such a good deal. I should have just bought them all.
I should have done it.
Duffel bag full of them. But no, hey, and wrestling fans, send us a message on Insta or somewhere like that, or on the YouTube channel. Remind me of those wrestlers. Tell me who your favorite masked wrestler was that was not a normal masked wrestler. They were a special masked wrestler, and you knew it was another wrestler. Send us those to remind us. We'll give shout outs on the show next week and or two, and everybody who sends those in, because I totally blanked on those, and I just have watched some of that recently, but totally blanked. Might be the aliens zap some of my. I don't know.
It's very, very possible with the things that are happening now on this good Earth. It's been kind of known for a while, and that there's some crazy things happening with UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them. They're now officially UAP, an unidentified aerial phenomena. But they had a congressional hearing this past week on UAPs, and some pretty stunning things were said. Things that have never been said publicly before, and certainly at least not in the United States, but I do not believe anywhere. They appeared before the House Subcommittee on National Security, on the border and foreign affairs, and there were three guys. I'm reading their names. David Grush, he was a former U.S. intelligence official. David Fravor, he was a former Navy commander, and Ryan Graves, a former Navy pilot. And they talked about how they've spotted multiple UAPs. One of them had not personally seen a UAP, but claimed that he was informed of a multi-decade government UAP retrieval program, meaning, yes, these things have been crashing, and yes, we have been retrieving them. And in it he says he didn't call them humans, he didn't call them aliens. I think he called them non-beings or non-human, something along those lines. That was just like, oh, because they're drilling down on, is this a biological thing? And it was non-human biological. So yeah, alien, a freaking alien. So yeah, these are people that are high ranking, or I don't know if they're necessarily high ranking, but they're ranking. They're in the military. Congress has summoned them to come in and talk about it, because there's some of these congressmen and women that and representatives or senators and all of that, government officials, that have not been able to get into these things. They were curious, and we're at an age, I think, with media being the way it is and everything being electronic and all of that, to where it's like people want answers and they don't understand why they can't get them
right
the way it. So we're starting to get a few answers on some things, and basically it looks like we're being invaded, and nobody's really talking much about it.
And it's happened for a long time, like you said. It was a year or so ago that they came out and said, yeah, we have recovered things. Right. No one said anything. I was trying to remember what the flavor of the week was that week, because as we were talking earlier, every week the news cycle flips so fast, and it's
right.
You just can't keep up. I can't remember what it was that month or that week. It was something so insignificant compared to, we found out aliens. They were telling us for a fact, yeah, we have alien stuff. No one said anything. I was blown away. I was like, guys, no one said anything. Everybody was worried about whatever, I don't know, movie or show, whatever.
Yeah,
I think it was Tiger King or something like that. Everybody's worried about Tiger King.
It was. Yeah, it was Tiger King.
They said there's aliens, y'all, but no one cared.
There was an actual video released from the United States government. They call it the Tic Tac.
Yeah.
Not TikTok, Tic Tac video, because it was a little Tic Tac that was running around, and then it was here, and that was from a fighter jet.
And the episode,
there's nothing on earth that can do that.
And the episode with Lex Friedman on Joe Rogan, I mean, that's firsthand, all that stuff. I mean, that's first. These are high level Air Force pilots and naval pilots, and I mean, these are not, this is not some guy blowing smoke. These are high level people, and what would they gain by making stuff up? So it's like,
they have nothing. They have nothing to gain.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way that it benefits them to make up stuff. It's just and it sounds like you said, we've covered it up or just didn't say anything about it for a long time, and now it turns out, we got a whole, just like the Men in Black. I swear, Tiggs, every time something like this pops up, you think back and you're like, oh, they had a movie about that 20 years ago. The AI thing, the this,
they really
the that,
do.
the and if that's true, boy, we're in trouble, because the movies get more ridiculous.
Scary, because I mean, I am no longer. Would no longer be shocked if we found out that there were aliens among us that posed as humans. They took on a human form. I mean,
who knows?
That I would have laughed at that statement, just even though a part of me has believed this pretty much my whole life. Like, I didn't really believe it. But the more stuff like this keeps coming out, how can you not believe it? It just makes too much sense. And then, how huge space is to
argument.
think that we're the only,
gonna be hard.
only people, or the only, the only whatever. I know that that some folks for religious beliefs believe that it can't happen. I've always interpreted it as, and then God created Earth. I don't know what happened before then.
Right.
I mean, or after then.
Exactly.
For that matter, we don't know.
ever-
Universe is so big.
Still going.
We could just been here and then I don't know. I have no idea. But I know one thing. It is entirely too big and expansive, and there's too many gases and all of that stuff running around out there for it to just that we are it. I think that's a little pompous of us if we really think we're
the
it.
only one that lucky of
Then
the
damn.
infinite amount of numbers of places there are that this could happen, that we were the only one that happened to happen. Yeah, no way. It's the same.
Yeah, it's just
like you
it's
said, the
just
same
not
gases
mathematically possible.
and few things that made every other organism, that's blown and strewn. Who knows? But it's liable to be, rock men. So far away, there's no way we're ever going to see them. But apparently, some people have seen something close enough that we don't know, because unidentified aerial phenomenon is UFO, and if we can't identify it, we're America with our allies, the top, highest level surveillance, recon, radar technology in the world. I mean, and who else is it? If it's not, if it's not Mexico or Canada just come up with some cool fighter jet that's so much better than ours. No, between us and our allies, we have the best equipment on the planet.
Absolutely.
that people know about, or that we know about at least. Or this could who knows? That could be the A team.
Well,
there could be the A team. The B.A. Baracus might have turned an old truck into the baddest spaceship ever.
Well, I think that would be the best case
scenario.
scenario.
If it's an inside job in general, sometime inside super money, crazy, literal, Tony Stark type character that nobody really knows. That's the thing. This group of people that go out there to the place in California in the woods and with the presidents and all the weird stuff. A handful of them got their own little thing up here in the mountain where they're building super ships. Best case scenario again that we're doing it.
Yeah,
but I mean that's so extreme. But so is aliens have been coming and nobody's known about it.
So is the fact that there are people testifying in congressional hearings today or last week about UFOs, and this isn't like you said, it's not your crazy methed out uncle. It's not that dude with the antennas that lives out in the woods. It's not Nick Nolte from some it's not this. It is as legit as it gets. There are things that can't be explained. Some people have some rational explanations as to there's a cover up, and sure, I don't, the world, I guess I don't know if some of this is just slowly getting leaked because it's like they can handle it now. They expect that this isn't too much where, when Orson Welles made that whole deal back in the day and it was broadcast all over the radio and everybody thought that the world was ending and all that. Like it was a place where you got information. And so they thought it was real, even though it said it was a program. But if you there it is, War of the Worlds. If you're jumping into that thing 7 minutes in and you miss the fact that this is not real, you're gonna lose it, because I've listened to it and
it's eerie,
it's phenomenal. It was awesome, and very eerie, and but good God, that would have scared the pants off of me. There's ways you can do that now, but. So basically, the medium that they have.
You're saying though that basically, if say for instance we did something landed, we go investigate, we realize this is something. It's probably safer not just to go blab it, let all the news put it out right there. Hey, we've got something crazy, because then the War of the Worlds scenario.
Then people start. I think that's probably would be why. The lesson learned from that would be to kind of slowly leak it. Which began with that TikTok video. That was our Tic Tac video. Yeah. That's the first thing that I went, oh, finally. Like that didn't come from somebody. That came from the United States government. Yeah. And if they're starting to make fake videos with all of that, then good God help us all. I want to believe that that's actually legit.
Well, and, you know, it's
freaking
funny.
UAP,
Yeah,
man.
it's funny because you think about it in this angle. So we're the most intelligent thing on our planet. We're the highest technologically advanced, you know, as far as our governments and stuff like that. If you go went and told some of the people, the primitive people that still live in this world, in certain cultures that have still been excluded from modern technology and all that, I bet if you went and told them there's people from other places coming from the sky, they would say, "Yeah, we already know. Look at the wall right there. They got drawings. We've known about that for 50,000 years. You know, yeah, it's on the thing.
Yeah, we've
been trying to tell y'all.
Talked about.
You know what I'm saying? So I wonder if it's like,
you think we built those pyramids?
right,
Come
know,
on,
or
man.
Is it like, you know? Maybe that was something. It was probably for the best to phase that out, not free, because maybe there was something that happened one time to us. Because you think about this too. This is what I was thinking about when we were talking about their movement and stuff, and how our technology's advanced so far. We've only been traveling out of the solar system, out of our atmosphere, for 50 years maybe? That started in the 50s, late 50s.
Yeah.
Soviets went up 60s.
Yep.
Maybe. It was still hit or miss, and then
Yep, late 50s, early 60s,
all right.
early 60s
so
when we finally made it.
so you'd say 50, 60 years ago. Since then, you know, we've made some strides definitely with these scopes and stuff. Real good documentary out about the new scope that wasn't going to make it. Now they got the new pictures. You saw that with the pictures of the
Yeah,
oh my
it's
gosh.
unbelievable. It's a picture of a black hole forming and then a galaxy forming too. They've got them both.
And they
It's
pull back
unbelievable.
and see how many of those there are. You're like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah, there's just no way we're by
No way.
ourselves.
Always the chance of probability by numbers for me was always there's just too much. There's no way.
That was as when we were kids, our knowledge of the size of the universe, which they always said it goes on forever and all of that, but it's hard to really think outside of like to the Milky Way.
Right.
Basically, and then that's like, wow, that's so far. The Milky Way's close.
Yeah, the Milky
that's
Way's like going from here to Baton Rouge.
It's like me driving. yeah, it's like me driving over to your house. That's how close it is.
Right,
Like,
right.
Yeah, that ain't
Yeah.
it.
Imagine if you
for it to
drive.
go-
Imagine if you drive to Germany from that, how much farther that is. You're like, whoa,
yeah.
and you're still not to Tokyo yet. You know,
Nope.
wow,
Nope,
But think
exactly.
about in
Yeah.
that time since we've went to space. Man has left Earth to go to space. We've only been so far. If these things are coming from
Yeah.
so far, we haven't seen them yet. How advanced must they be? Because if they're coming from so far away, or are they close hiding on Mars and we just can't see them? I mean, maybe. But if not, that means if they can go that far, they are way advanced. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I don't think
We're not
they're
out
obviously-
exploring other solar systems.
Not yet. No, we're not there yet, but they may be here to teach us some of that. And they may be here to teach us some of that. They may be teaching us some of
Maybe.
that. I don't know.
Yep.
Who
Who
knows?
knows?
You know, there's been some things that have been invented pretty insanely that's like, how does a human being come up with that? I'm not very smart, but like Einstein, totally crazy example, but dude, the stuff that he came up with and the theories that are being proven, you know, almost 100 years later, 60, 70, 80 years later, absolutely incredible. How does a human being get that smart? I'm not calling Albert Einstein an alien, but maybe he was. You know, I don't
by
know.
one.
I don't know what's real anymore, Handler.
I know,
That's the
right?
problem.
Did Robert Johnson talk to an alien at the crossroads and not the devil? You know,
Very
he
possibly.
could play the heck out of that guitar when he got done. You know,
Very
because
true.
you bring up a good point there. It's just so hard to know, and everything you think is one way. Like saying, going back to my statement about movies, science fiction is now reality. So it's like, what about the movies? Everything since then. Is that going to dictate? Is this just a peek into the future? Because if so, you hope we get some of the
Let's
good
just
movies. I hope
stop.
we end up like some of the good ones and not the bad ones. Like, all this AI stuff, they warned us about that in Ex Machina already, and
Yeah, that's right. And I did watch, you told us about that, and I did watch it. And good Lord Almighty, yeah, I mean, I could totally see that happening.
How crazy at the
a
end.
1,000,000%. You fall in love, and it gets all weird, but
No
yeah,
emotion.
but
It's a
then
robot.
They
no emotion.
do their own
No
thing.
emotion.
That's
Survival.
right. No emotion.
and when she walks away, it's like, oh my, she's gonna just suffocate in there. I'd give it away. I don't care. Y'all
Yeah.
need to watch Ex Machina if you're.
Yeah,
just as
yeah.
if you're, that's about as scary of
It's-
scary as of. I don't like horror movies. I like stuff like I don't
Yeah.
like it, but I can watch stuff like that because you think, man, that could really happen. Like some of the doomsday type movies that have came out over the past decade or so, when the meteor hits and Dennis Quaid has to get his family out,
like Armageddon.
yeah,
and,
that kind of stuff. Because
I
you
mean,
think, man, that could be a thing.
well, it's happened before on this earth.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
and it's going to happen again. You know, it's going to get hit by a big meteor. It's going to kill a bunch of people. I mean, there could be a whole nother ice age that happens, and then all of this, and then people 10,000 years from now come back,
Make a comeback,
and they
again.
see all of these cities and stuff, but then there aren't pyramids and things like that. This
There's
time
Cowboys-
they're full-on
it's
cities.
where it's just
and-
Cowboy Stadium's the only thing left. Because you think, I think back in the day there were big. We know there were. We find stuff all the time. There's probably been several times in periods in history where there were big cities, not big as we have now, but way more
Oh, yeah.
grand and a lot more to them. But time will it will crumble all that concrete, anything eventually. I mean, even plastic. You build it
Yep.
out of plastic. Eventually it will too. I'm talking about 1,000,000 years from now, but this rock ain't going
But it
nowhere.
will go away.
It'll be here 1,000,000 years from now. We'll find out. So
That's
it's
right.
like and that's what you were saying. When you're younger, you can't put into perspective how big space is. Same with time. When you're young, you don't think back. You
Yeah.
think back like Pawpaw and the pioneers and the olden days and but then when you really think back, you're like, no, time. That is a lot. This rock has been spinning out here for a lot longer than you think at first. Time's a lot
it
deeper, and
has.
it makes you think, a lot of things could have happened. There could have been a civilization just like us, maybe even more advanced, 1,000,000 years ago.
Well,
A bad something
wouldn't be
happens,
shocked.
cold, hot for
Yeah.
500,000 years. There's no remnants of it. It's all turned back to dirt again. It's just dirt again.
Aliens come, drop the seed back
Yeah.
on
Or
Earth
the-
or
or the-
whatever.
yeah, or
I
the-
don't
or
know.
the-
Who
or
knows?
the 100 or 250 people that lived that were in a cave and somehow stuck it out and had enough to I mean,
Yeah, I mean it could go. There's just no telling.
telling.
There's just no telling. But one thing for sure that we know is a fact: it is being talked about publicly here, and this will get the ball rolling in other places. It's going to be taught. There have been rumors that Russia's engaged a UAP. I went down a rabbit hole with this. Of course, I mean, I've gone down rabbit holes with UFOs and UAPs. So when I saw that this was happening, I was excited because I didn't know what would be said. And look, I have the link on our Twitter. I'm sorry, on our X.
oh yeah, something else.
I have the link at the Tigs Bits podcast on Twitter, X, or it's now on X.
formerly
Known as Twitter. There it is. Yeah. What a dumbass name,
Oh
dude.
my God!
I mean, I love Elon Musk, and I like a lot. I like everything that he's been doing with Twitter. I'm huge. I love
too.
Twitter.
Same.
I really
Same.
do. Or X
Yeah.
again. I'm sorry. It's always going to be
Twitter,
Twitter
bro.
to me,
It's
dude.
Twitter, bro.
Yeah. I don't. How do you rebrand a freaking household name? I don't know. I don't care how good he makes the app. It's always going to be Twitter.
It's just Twitter. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of some other examples, but yeah, he's not going to win this. Everybody's just going to call it Twitter.
He's not going to win this one. No.
I mean, hopefully
no,
makes it
'cause
better.
I mean,
but
he is making it better. I can tell you right now, if you haven't, go head over to at Tigs Bits Podcast. It's all lowercase, just Tigs Bits Podcast, and follow our X page.
see, he messed it up. It's like
follow our Twitter page. Like it doesn't make any
no,
sense.
it's like giving your kid a name, but like a normal name, but changing like 3 of the letters to make it look cool, you're like, man, you're just torturing this kid.
Well, he does that too.
You know what I'm saying?
He's done that with his children's names, and X
Instead of using I's, use
on.
Y's everywhere or something. You're like, man, it's just going to confuse that kid for the rest of his life.
It really does. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But Elon first, when he started PayPal, it was called something else, blah, blah, blah. He was the first to have X.com, www.x.com. And then it's just he's kept the rights to it or whatever, maintained that domain name. And then all the stuff's happened with him. And then, bam, he moves Twitter over to X, rebranded it. He says he's not leaving San Francisco. That was in a tweet the other day, yesterday, or whenever, that people are saying they're going to leave. He's not. They're going to stay in San Francisco. He's got the big X that flashes like a strobe light on top of the building. I'm sure the people in the apartments around it absolutely love that.
Did you hear about the guy who had the Twitter handle X? It was a photographer guy. He had the X at Twitter,
At X?
Yeah, at X,
Oh, wow.
And I just read this. Don't know if it's true or not, but yeah, he had got it right when it started. Because it was part of his. I think he was a photographer or something, filmmaker, or something like that. Maybe from Japan or somewhere. But should they have bought it from him? What should happen? I can't remember how it went down exactly, but something to the effect of they gave him like a severance package for it. Basically, they gave him some free goodies and some gift cards and some swag.
Jeez.
And he's like, they just kind of took it from him too. I think from what I heard.
How about a couple million bucks or so?
Give me a job.
I mean, it isn't like Elon can't freaking swing it.
So,
Good Lord, man.
Speaking of that, wrapping that up. Elon Musk, X/Twitter, as like I said, we're gonna always call it Twitter. Blue, and even the black thing on there.
Yeah.
Need the blue check. I mean, the blue bird. That makes no sense.
Yeah,
but tying that back into
I'm a big fan of Twitter, and I'm a fan of X. I really do like the platform and everything. But damn, I do not like it so far. But I'm willing to see what he does with it.
Same.
I just don't see what it's going to be.
Well, I just sent him a check, so he might be able to break a little of that off for the guy whose handle he took. But I got in the mail, which we'll have for future episodes. We can talk about it once I get it hooked up. I got the new Starlink.
Oh, nice, man. Freaking Starlink.
Satellite internet for back here in the back house because I live down here in South Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, I live in South Alabama, and the weather's crazy, and the this and the that, but I'm going to make sure we have good internet for the studio. So I'd ordered that in 21, and you get on a list, and when it becomes you put a deposit down. Then when it becomes available in your area, they set it up in your area. And we were just down the totem pole. I guess a lot of people weren't signing up for it down here. And they said I think they had shifted a lot of the usage over to the war in Eastern Europe and Ukraine and stuff, their efforts during that time. But so anyway, 2 years later, I finally get it. You pay for the hardware, and so you own that, and then you pay $100 a month for the internet service, $120, something like that.
Yeah.
But theoretically, I should have satellite internet all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Flying. And if people will know the Starlink, if you've seen the pictures recently of the line of what some people thought were aliens, the line of satellites going around like a little choo-choo train in the sky, that's the satellites for the Starlink because there
are aliens, but they're a little more elusive. No, they're not that dumb. Yeah, very much so.
Now we got all kinds of cover for them to hide, or we got bushes out in the atmosphere for them to hide under,
Yeah, exactly. We've littered the sky up there that they can hide behind them, but that's cool, man. I every test I've watched YouTube videos and stuff like that because especially where I'm from in rural West Central Louisiana and all through there, high speed internet is an issue.
Right.
You can't get it,
and
you can't get it. So
I live on an island. I mean, it's
that's right,
and it's hit or miss. Justin lives out. Justin Moore lives out in country in Arkansas, and he had trouble. He had the best he could get, but it was just terrible because he was so far out. He got it last year. He got his. He signed up for his after I did, but service came to his area before me, and it rocks at his house. We have him on the tour buses now. Jeff, our production manager, he's in North Dakota camping this week. He takes the pop-up set with him, so he's got it. The only hang-up is if you've got a bad storm and you can't get a clear shot to the sky.
Right.
As long as you got a clear
Yeah.
shot to the sky, it'll work anywhere. So that's a little plug for him. I'm hoping it works well, has worked well so far, because I'm a big fan of Tesla, Elon. I love the creativity. I love the advancement. You know, I'm sure no one running anything too high level has got a little kook in them. So yeah, and even us normal folks got a lot of kook in us.
Look,
So,
I think he's going to eventually sell Twitter, and somebody will probably rename it back. But he's going to build it the way he wants it. I've been very pleased with it. We have the blue check mark over at the Tigs Bits podcast. Multiple reasons. I don't want anybody to make a fake page, and not that anybody really is, but it does stop that some. So anything it's going to be verified from us. I find that the engagement is a lot better than it used to be on there, not just with our show, but with everything. And then that kind of brings me into Threads, the knockoff of Twitter or X. I mean, I've got an account. I'm on it. But, man, what a joke.
Is it? I haven't even
that
signed
thing's
up.
terrible. It's a joke,
it.
dude. Well, here's my stance with Facebook and Meta, really with Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram. Well, all they've ever done, they're really good at pressing Control-C, copy, and then pressing Control-V, and pasting.
Getting zucked.
And that's all they've done. They found,
that's what they call it on that.
The old Zucky.
I listened to, Robin Hood Snacks, it used to be. Now it's called The Best One Yet. It's this two guys' little morning market report type thing, and that's what the zucking effect, because that's basically what you said. They let somebody else get it, then they just zuck it and take the same thing and put.
That's exactly. That's it. That's what they do, man. And I mean, I jumped on it. I like that you could post some links and stuff like that in there, but then you can control your feed with Twitter, and you can make lists and stuff you can keep it organized to basically see what you want to see if that's how you want to do it. There's no customization whatsoever in Threads. I know it may be coming and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's basically going to be free speech, which is Twitter or X, versus Meta.
Right.
And I'm going to choose free speech every time.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
I mean, if I'm choosing,
we'll see. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. You've got to see how it rolls out.
We're there if it takes off.
See how it engages. See how it works out. And I mean, like they may it may push the other ones to tighten up some things they could improve on. Competition. That's the thing. Free market competition should include evolution and creativity.
Absolutely.
And be able to come up with better stuff. But only time will tell. As we've said, the thread throughout this podcast, you really never know. It's no playbook. There's no Back to the Future DeLorean to take us ahead to see what's going to happen. We're all going to find out at the same time, basically.
That kind of leads me into why we're talking about times are a changing and things, but yet things are staying the same. Last week, huge controversy with that Jason Aldean song, In a Small Town, or whatever it's called. I'm sure that you have a thought on that, being a tour manager and being in the business. What are your thoughts on how, we're about a week after all of that, kind of how it's played out a little bit, and is it a big deal or not?
I mean, I haven't been on the road much, and I hadn't had to engage with it, and I don't watch the news and stuff except for my local news. So I hadn't had to deal with as much as I normally would have, but I've been paying attention somewhat. Yeah, to me, it's just like we were saying earlier, every week there's something new. This will be over in a few minutes. It's just always something.
Yep.
I mean, it's just crazy to me what, if it goes free speech, I mean, like of all of the stuff that gets put out and gets interpreted a certain way, I'm like, I mean, the stuff we sometimes, and the people, and I'm not sticking up for him because I don't really even know him, but other people I've seen, sometimes it's warranted, but it ain't always, it's sometimes it's just is what it is. And I mean, I look at it as it's not a big deal to me because there's way worse stuff going on in this world currently, right this second, that we need to be putting our attention to, and not.
Yeah, like aliens.
Yeah, not. I mean, we go down exactly. I mean, the whole, inclusion now creating exclusion, and the people just wanting to fuss and fight and stuff. I just think it's all.
That's what
it just all boils down to people wanting to argue and fight, and to just have that instead of love and acceptance is what we should be trying to do. Let's work this out. Everybody's different, but we're all really the same. So. But people just want to choose to fight. Apparently, and if someone was truly hurt and there was some wrongdoing somewhere with someone, but shit happens. But
sure,
stuff happens all the time
that,
with stuff, and it's like,
as
long as no one was intentionally trying to hurt someone, But I think back of you talking about free speech. I know when we were kids. I mean, I had the Ice-T body count tape. You know what I mean? When he's talking about cop
absolutely,
killer and stuff.
yeah.
I had it. I was
For
rocking
sure.
it, but I wasn't wanting to kill. Didn't want nobody to kill a cop.
No, I had NWA and all of that stuff, man. And
we talked about the
it
song.
Didn't really change my outlook.
No,
I like the music.
I would have rather banned the song of the year last year, the one with the P word in it that all the kids were singing.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that. Kids should have never got to hear that. You know what I mean? So,
no, that's way.
And
yeah,
above all of it, if you don't like anything, you've got. All you got to do is change, turn it off, change.
That's it.
You
can.
When my phone used to ring,
got a right to move on.
When my phone used to ring all the time, my old buddy, the Gov of Love, David Brian Gulliver, a drummer friend of mine, one of my first roommates in Nashville, he let me live in his guest room.
Gov of Love.
He used to tell me when my phone would ring, I was like, God, they won't quit calling. Wear them out. He said, you do know there is a solution to that. He had some great old road wizards. There's a solution now. I said, really? What? I mean, how can I get it to not happen so much? People wearing me out and keep calling me over stuff. He'd say, well, you go in there and get your owner's manual to your phone, and you flip to page 1 or 2, and there'll be the instructions in there how to turn it off. And it's usually hold down the red button for 2 to 3 seconds, and then all that'll go away. You know what I mean?
Isn't it unbelievable?
It's magic trick. So I always think that because just turn it off. Don't. And the worst thing you could do, really, for most of that stuff is backlash at it and cause an uproar, because all it's going to do is put more attention, draw more attention. It's kind of like
you start alienating.
Well, it's like the bully thing.
You
You don't play into the bully stuff. If you ignore
it, don't say anything. You just it'll go away.
Just ignore them. Just ignore it.
Yeah, I mean Jason Isbell, guy that obviously we love the drive-by truckers. I love Isbell. He's a great singer songwriter. Don't always agree with the way he handles things on Twitter, especially, but I didn't like that he called out, Aldean, and basically you don't write your own songs and like that. In my small town, we write our own songs. I think.
Yeah, we try to write a
said.
song
Like,
by ourselves or
bro.
something like that. And I'm thinking, I'm obviously music wise, I'm Team Isbell all day. And
absolutely,
and culture.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, to Aldean. I'm sure he's got some good hits. That's was never my flavor really though. But I'm Isbell's from Bama, man. It's Muscle Shoals guy. I love his too. He's a great writer. He's a thespian almost. He's mastered the English language.
Yeah.
He's great at what he does. But that comment, though, it bores. That goes back to the lash out, just fight thing. That bores more questions. That should be a discussion about that. Well, has Jason never had a co-write? He never co-writ. He's never co-written a song.
Right.
Have you never done an outside cut? You've never done a cover of an outside cut. I'm thinking. These guys that do songs certain ways, like Justin doesn't write for other people. He writes for himself. And he'll write 40 songs for an album or whatever in a year or two's time. Or sometimes ideas been around forever. But he's writing those for him. But at the end, when he has all that and his producer and his buddies send him other songs that he writes with, he's picking the best songs out of the bunch. But so there are different types of artists.
Absolutely.
There's an artist that's trying to get, I'm just trying to put the best songs that I can get to put out for my voice, my musical, creative, what I'm trying to accomplish. Then there's an Isbell. Like I said, I don't really know for sure. I'm sure he wrote most of his stuff, probably all of it, but I'm sure he co-wrote some too with other people. So that's just this is an art.
It is storming here, brother.
Is it?
Yeah.
But his is a form of he wants to get it out with his way. With it, it's this different angle. It's just two different types. It's Picasso and Rembrandt. Some people like one better than the other. That's not saying either one of them's wrong, and I'm not calling either or the other. But I'm just saying. So for that comment just was kind of like, really, of all this shit you're gonna say, I'm like, I just feel like it was petty, and I'm like,
Dude, it's bad here. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt this. I'm kind of like I've never heard wind come in this shed.
Your app up? You looking at it?
I'm hearing some hail. It's hailing a little bit.
Quick fun fact about music. The Drive-By Truckers, right when they first had their, this was their first album and all that stuff. They went to go. They had some support, and they had, things were starting to happen, and they were going to do I think it was in Decatur or Huntsville or something. They were going to do a big theater for their first show, and had all these people invited, and a tornado came through the day of the show.
Oh, Lord. Well, didn't they write a song about it?
Yeah.
Tornadoes.
Yeah, I think that was them. I think that's a true story. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I need to brush up on all my knowledge, so when I tell these stories, I'm more accurate. Because when I'm talking about them, if I've talked about them recently, I'm a lot more efficient with these stories. But
right.
But anyway, yeah. So on that, on that
but,
song thing, I think there's way more important things we need to be concentrating our efforts on and taking care of. I don't think anybody intentionally was trying to offend or hurt anyone. I don't think that this big coup was planned to start this to incite something to get some notoriety. I do think once it starts rolling, though, everybody wants to chime in because if it's a big story, they're going to get talked about. So, really, again,
absolutely easy pop for some press.
If you don't like it, just ignore it. And I just think, and I think in the music community, you shouldn't take shots at each other. You shouldn't take shots at anybody, period, unless somebody's done you wrong.
No.
So,
no, exactly.
And especially if you're working the same kind of job, because that brings the whole industry down. You want your stuff to go up,
right?
That's like if
exactly.
if I always use wrestling as an analogy. If you're wrestling for this company and there's one that's not quite as big as yours, you're not just going to dog it out because you want it to get good. That way, both of y'all can make more money. It'll be competition. I know we've talked on the phone on our pre-show talk. We've got a couple guests lined up for the next couple of weeks, just trying to do some scheduling with them. We've got one coming up that we talked about that's involved with a new book that's coming out in August. So we're going to talk about that. It's got something to do with some music and culture and everything else. Texas friends of ours, we're going to bring him on and talk about that. And a couple other cool things. I know we actually, after the Taylor Hicks show that you and I got to go to, you side text Taylor and he wants to come on the show.
Taylor Hicks sent the show a message, said he looks forward to coming on. So we just got to lock down a time, and Taylor Hicks is coming on. Absolutely, baby. Man. Soul Patrol. So I'm fired up about that.
You are. I know. And I know I've got a couple, and we talked about this too. I've got a couple sports buddies. When it gets a little close to football season, I'll bring on a couple real special guests to talk a little preseason stuff with us.
Yeah,
college football and
big stuff coming up, JR. Big stuff.
I love it. But we'll sign off for Blasey today. I'm JR the Handler. Tig Nasty on the wheel, ones and twos over there. I'm going to read another. I don't know if anyone got one last week.
Leave us.
But
no, we didn't. We weren't able to drop it, so this will be the first time. And the way I do believe we're going to close the show every time.
This is from Let's All Make the Day Count, the Everyday Wisdom of Charlie Daniels. Number 17, keep on knocking. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will open to you. Matthew 7:7. Dreams are only wistful thoughts until they are combined with action. Until then, they live only in our minds, locked behind doors we haven't knocked on yet. Sometimes following a dream is like jumping off the high diving board into the deep water and having to learn to swim all over again. It can require sacrifice, doing something we've never done before, learning, asking, seeking. Sometimes taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but constantly and unwaveringly moving towards the goal. I've knocked on a lot of doors in my time, returning again and again. Even when they refused to budge, I just kept on knocking, and finally the doors opened. One of the true desires of my life was to become a member of the Grand Ole Opry. I played the Opry for years, but was never asked to join. It seemed that door would never open for me. but I just kept on knocking. Finally, at the age of 72, I was asked to be a member, and it was one of the biggest honors of my life and absolutely worth all the hard work and waiting it took to get there. Something that began as what seemed to be an impossible dream in the mind of a Carolina country boy many decades ago came true. Sometimes knocking is not enough. You just got to stay with it until you beat the door down. Let's all make the day count.
And with that, we'll sign off. Before my roof flies off of my house, I'm hearing sounds in the attic that are not good. We got us a storm, baby. I love
All
it.
right, buddy. Be safe. We'll talk soon.